And here we are in Carolyn Williams Show with a lovely lady called Teresa Mullaney that I first heard of and then saw on London Rail, and then got to know a lot of people who knew her and connected with her. Teresa, welcome.
Thank you, Carolyn. It's great being on your show.
I love your backdrop, I have to say. Yes, it's a fun backdrop, and I love the sunset. Who is the real Teresa Mullaney?
Well, I guess the real me is very quiet, very shy, very introvert. But over the years with the jobs I've done, I've actually learned how to talk to people, and I can actually do the life and soul of the party, even though it's not natural to me. So yeah, I can, talk to anybody in the street or anything like that. And I guess there's a lot more to me than that as well. I spend a lot of time thinking about various things. I do a lot of meditation. I'm a huge family person. I've got the most amazing goddaughter in the world, who was just 10 last week. So, I'm somebody who really deeply loves children, and I love making a difference in the world.
Teresa, where are you from and where do you work?
Right. I'm originally from Ireland.
Right.
And yeah, I now live in London. And, and in terms of where I work, I guess that has very much been a transitioning thing for quite a while now, because I've worked in a lot of different contexts over the years. Like I've previously worked in prisons, police stations, eating disorder services, all kinds of places, and children and adolescent mental health. But now I'm exclusively working online, helping people overcome difficulties and reach their inner magic.
We need the inner magic. During lockdown, everybody's, I would say, locked down mentally and physically. And so when I knew what you did and your strapline, I was delighted, because you're just the person we need in terms of releasing this inner magic that we have. So you're a life coach online.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And
yeah.
I read that you're the director of your melodies. Explain that to me.
Life Changing Melodies. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because obviously when you begin the process of working for yourself, it's a good idea to set up a limited company. And the name actually is after my goddaughter, because her name is Melody. And obviously the whole thing is about changing lives.
Yes.
Because even if I'm working, like I was working with one person last week, and I got a lovely message back saying that just with 1 hour of helping her improve how she was feeling in herself and getting her thinking about things in a very different way, it then impacted on her ex-boyfriend, and he's actually caring for somebody towards end of life. So he was actually much better able to deal with the rest of his day, and it made a huge impact on her family as well, in terms of her own children, and just thinking, right, optimistic October, let's have some fun regardless. So yeah, I think changing lives, and especially at a time like this, when, like as you say, a lot of us are locked down, we're cocooned, and it kind of feels in some ways, is there going to be an end to this?
Yes.
And yet the reality is there will be an end to it.
Yes.
Yeah.
We mentally and physically and spiritually even have to realize that we come through it. And the transference there, because you were talking about transference, because there's a bit of a clinical term for you. Yes, indeed. In terms of you treating this lady, and then that person, the whole, I would say, lifting and changing, cascaded to the ex. Now, isn't that a wonderful, wonderful therapy and ability and a gift from your point of view?
Oh, it is absolutely. It was so humbling, especially when I heard what was going on in the ex-person's life.
Yes.
Because the reality is we never know when we interact with somebody what impact that will have with other people.
Absolutely.
And for anyone that has seen Action for Happiness, they have a little section where they talk about the reality that if one person in a house is genuinely happy, the chances of the other persons in the household being happier goes up 10%. 15%, I think it is. The persons they interact with, 10%, and then the persons who interact with them, 6%. So can you see that actually it can have a domino effect? And I mean, if enough of us had this kind of awareness and appreciation, we can have things going in that direction, because sadly it works the other way as well.
Yes.
You know,
that's true in our household. I've got a son who is somebody, I would say, that like me, loves life, but is fun, just fun.
Yeah.
And when he arrives back, because he works in Wiltshire, he arrives home, you're right, the 10% and 15% and the rest of the percentage goes up, because his energy and his, I would say, sense of fun in life does become contagious. So I love the contagiousness of it.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. It's brilliant.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. And when we have this awareness, we can even use it in the queue, because at the moment, like, I don't know about where you're living, but even like last week, to go to the bank, the queue to go in was an hour and a half. Wow. Yeah. So my view is, right, if I'm going to be standing next to these persons for an hour and a half, let's make this fun. Let's find something entertaining.
I like that idea. Now, I'll add to that, because I saw something quite different. The local, I think it's the Co-op in Mumbles, it's a little town further from where we live in the city. They have traffic lights now to indicate who can come in, that there is a green light so that you can come in, and if not, there's an amber, and to stop. And I found that intriguing, that is now in shops.
Wow.
Yes. Wow.
Extraordinary. Yeah.
So what is Teresa Mullaney's why? What's your why?
I think it's because I really, really enjoy laughing, and I like hanging out with people who are laughing with me.
Yes.
And I actually learned quite early on in life that if I can get people laughing, that whatever is going on for them will seem less problematic. And it's about sharing the love. It's about creating harmony. It's about creating world peace for me. And that's what motivates me. And I know, and like I said earlier, I love babies, right? And I know when we do a good job looking after the adults around the children actually do well.
Yes.
And I think we need to be very mindful, now that we're kind of, beginning to get to a certain age in life, that actually the person who's going to be looking after us when we're 100 is possibly not yet born. So we better be doing the best we can to make sure that we've got good people around.
That's quite futuristic, isn't it, really?
It is, yeah. Well, I like thinking futuristically, because when you do that, you can actually begin to create new possibilities, and possibilities of things that you may have thought were ridiculous, but then actually, who knows, could become a possibility.
Yes.
A bit like Kennedy talking about sending a man to the moon. Like, at the point he actually said that, they did not have the capability to do it. And yet, the minute he said it, it's like, right, we'll figure out a way.
We'll figure out a way.
Or even Roger Bannister with the, he decided he was going to break the 4-minute mile. And people thought, no, you'll combust, you'll die. It's a very bad idea. But he created processes for himself in terms of mental visualization, looking at his nutrition, looking at how he was moving his body and so on. And within a short period of time, 17 people had broken his record.
Yes. And the likes of Usain Bolt and Mo Farah have continued that possibility.
Well, absolutely. Yeah. Because when we study success, right, and we learn from successful people,
yes,
then we can emulate what those successful persons have done. And I think that's a fantastic thing to be able to do.
It's role modeling.
Completely,
Yeah,
completely. I'm positive role modeling.
yes.
And that's one of the things I like about what I do now versus what I used to do in the NHS, because, you know, a lot of healthcare is about not being ill as opposed to being well.
Yes.
You know,
Well, I'm a believer in preventative care, you see. So I find the whole knee-jerk thing, and you know, the last thing when you go in is that you use the national health to just live and have some sort of life, is to me ridiculous, because it's ownership. And once you, yeah. So once you own that, you know, you can take it and do with it. And then if you need the help, yeah. But
yeah, absolutely. Like the NHS is really tremendous when it comes for emergency care.
yes,
Really tremendous on that. You know, but we don't learn enough about how to take care of ourselves enough, so that we don't end up with things like diabetes 2. You know, and we don't really like in school. Have you ever heard of anybody who had lessons in learning to be happy?
No, none.
Yeah, none. And a lot of the programs they have in school now for children is about how not to be stressed.
Yes.
And to me, that does not make a lot of sense, because the unconscious mind does not process negation. And if I say to a youngster, or yourself even, please, as we're talking, do not think of pink elephants. You know, in order to make sense of this sentence, you have to think of the pink elephant. It's just the way English is structured.
Yes.
So I would rather our children and young persons are taught how to be happy. And at least if you set the bar high, even if they only go halfway, they're still doing a lot better.
Absolutely. Teresa, who would you say, name 3 if you can, or more, people who've inspired you to become who you are?
Well, I think throughout the course of my lifetime, there's been a lot of people who have helped me along the way. But I think the first person who really made a huge difference in my life was the lady next door. You know, growing up. Now, my grandparents both passed away before I was born, and she took the role of being my granny.
Okay.
And so she took care of us when Mum was ever in hospital or anything like that. And in the last week of her life, she told all the nurses and doctors that I was going on to be a healthcare professional. She told them that I was her granddaughter, and was very proud of me. And but there was still 2 things that she actually said that I still hold very dear and share with people, is because she was 90. She said, learn from other people's mistakes, because I promise you, you won't live long enough to learn them all yourself. Right? The second thing was, you can learn from anybody, even a 2-year-old. Now, the most profound thing I've ever heard from a 2-year-old was the day of my brother's wedding. I was taking care of my 2-year-old niece, and we were watching a very important children's program called Peppa Pig.
Yeah.
And she told me, Auntie Teresa, big people talk nonsense. And I've never heard anybody...
She's been watching too much news, I think. Yeah.
I'm watching too much news, yeah. But I just thought, I've never heard anybody say anything more profound than that, because it is so true. It is so true. And unfortunately, the persons we spoke the most nonsense to is ourselves.
Yes,
right?
true. The chatter, yes. That's a big one, isn't it?
Yeah, and then there've been other people obviously along the way that have made a huge impact. Richard Bandler been one of them, and not only because he's got over an awful lot of things himself, but he would admit that he has not been a saint his entire life, that he's always got things right, but he has really studied successful people and taught other people how to help people get over stuff quickly.
Yes.
And I think you know, when you have people who, like I had a young guy saying to me at the weekend, you know, I need to come to you for therapy, but I don't think I can afford it because I need 20 years worth. And I thought, oh, what's going on? And yeah, and then yeah, and I said, no, I'm sorry. You can actually, some of the stuff that you're referring to, you can actually get over it very, very quickly. Let me teach you, right? And I said, teach him, because he has to do the process himself.
Absolutely.
And he was like completely flabbergasted to think, actually, I was building all of this up, and yes, you can help me quickly. Let's go for it. You know, and then there's been other people along the way, like Tina Taylor, Steve Crabb. They have been really good teachers and mentors to me. Gloria Hammers, you know, Anders Piper is, I don't know if you've heard of him, but he teaches NLP to sports people. And one of the things that he had done with me was, like I've had major spinal problems myself, and I had to kind of refigure out that whole process of walking as an adult, and it's not that sexy second time round, let me tell you. But I had done very well for a number of years, was off crutches for a very, very long time, and I had settled with that. I had thought, you know, I'm doing well, and I wasn't really expected to push myself any further because I'd just settled. And he would not take that from me. He absolutely would not take that from me. So when I was in Greece on a course with him, he had me getting other people over phobias, like phobias of water and what have you. And some of the persons are actually really good sports persons, had been professional sports persons and what have you. And we went scuba diving. Now, if you had said to me 2 weeks prior to that I would ever go scuba diving, I'd have said, no, I think that's pushing the boat out way too far. You know, I could do myself damage, and I'm not risking being in a wheelchair. I was just not having that. But he pushed me, and with the love of the group and us supporting each other, because one of the things with the way Richard Bandler teaches us is if you're helping people get over a phobia, you have to test your work and make sure they have got over the phobia. So because I was getting people over a phobia of water, I had to go into the water with them. So I was in a double bind. So it was an everybody wins situation, for sure.
One of the things I thank you for personally was when my late brother passed away, and I was given the task of reading a eulogy. And I welcomed that, but I hadn't realized that I would be addressing a packed church at the time. And like you, I'm fairly good with people I know, but if I'm involved in a huge audience, then that changes the way I see things. And I remember you very kindly saying, how about looking at the ancient Hawaiian prayer? And so I can say, yes, so I can say to you, Teresa, that when I did arrive, and which was a journey to Coventry, because he was celebrated in the Life Church in Coventry, it was indeed packed full of people across the globe, because he'd become a missionary doctor and a counsellor. Mm-hmm. So I did the Hawaiian prayer, and I was second in line because my sister, there are three of us, my sister is older, and I don't know about you and siblingness in terms of competitive siblingness, but she was always the perfect and the correct and the nice handwriting, and she was first. And I thought, right, I've got to follow this act. And not only that, I had to follow a band on the stage. Because it was evangelical, they had a young group that were playing this beautiful music, and I had to follow that. So I thought, well, like you, Teresa, jumping in the water and scuba diving, this was definitely my test. But I felt so comfortable doing the Hawaiian prayer. And as a result of that, there were people from Hawaii in the congregation. And at the end, because I got them involved and got them to say it with me, because that's the way I can sort of minimize my fears, by getting people to just join me. I suppose that's what live bands do when they say, it's your turn and give the mic over. There were people coming to me to say how much they loved my brother as a result of my inclusion in that prayer. And it had melted a lot of people in that moment. So thank you very much for that moment, because it gave me strength. And the question to you to finish this is, where would you say your happy place is?
My happy place has been very still and very, very inside me.
Right.
Because I'm actually somebody that can be happy anywhere. And it's something I've trained myself to actually do. I've often said to people, if you can meditate, even for a minute, in somewhere like rush hour at Clapham Junction, one of the busiest train stations in the UK, and if you can meditate there, at rush hour, you can meditate anywhere. Yes. And I've just learned over the years to just be still and present in any given moment, and you'll just deal with it.
Yes.
So yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I actually got through lockdown and the earlier part of this year in the UK. It was because I like going outside, I like being in nature, I like being able to move my body, but the idea of sitting indoors in my bedroom for 2 weeks was a big deal for me. So because I already knew how to be happy inside, it's like, that's okay, we'll figure it out. Yeah. We'll find something to be entertaining. And it's that process of mirror neurons. If I'm happy inside myself, then that happiness will spread out.
Yes, agree. The fact that you've transitioned to become a life coach online, what would you say in your respect as a digital entrepreneur, that you would either be a starter, a spotlighter, or a signature digital entrepreneur?
Well, I'm not sure what that actually means, Carolyn. Because I'm old enough to remember, what it was like to just turn on the computer and then have to write a program to do anything with it. Yes. And I can remember the first time I was in charge of the hospital. Actually, I was quite young, and I had a day of being in charge of the whole hospital. And one of the gentlemen said to me that there was a mouse in the computer, and to me that just a fire alarm, moment raised inside my head, and I was thinking, oh my God, I'm going to have to evacuate the hospital. And then he said, no, it's to move the cursor. And I thought, the computer curses? what kind of a computer is this? And so for a very long time, I was just not that comfortable with technology. I'm also profoundly dyslexic, so I've had to learn this whole thing the hard way. So, I'm somebody that is now embracing it, because I think it's a lot easier now than it was 5 years ago.
Yes, and
I think.
Sorry, who would you say your audience is? That you're aiming for in terms of focus.
Yeah. I think now that I'm a little bit older, it's kind of women my own age who want to do more in life and maybe hadn't really 100% appreciated more as possible. And, and I think this is a point in time, if ever there was one, to rethink the whole of our lives and think, right, okay, what can I be doing after this is all over? And that's the group that I'm really most aiming for, because I think that'll be the group of women that will make the most impact on generations going forward.
True.
Because when you think the oldest yoga teacher in the world is 100.
Yes. We're seeing far older people now in every line of work in terms of modeling and this kind of thing. And I just love it,
It's absolutely brilliant. And, you know, I don't know about you, but I've been looking at some of the stuff that has been online about perimenopause and menopause, right? And unfortunately, there's still a culture of hypnosis that you're going to have a bad experience going through it. And this is, again, where studying successful people needs to actually happen,
Yes.
you know, because it's a myth that I want to challenge. Because I decided 10 years in advance I was going to sail through it, and I did.
Yes.
You know, and there's so much more we can do, you know, like Roger Bannister breaking the 4-minute mile. There is so much more we can do, and we do not have to subscribe to the notion of what old days. Like I asked my goddaughter a couple of years ago, what, you know, at what age does somebody get old? And she said, well, 102. I thought that was a good idea, right? Just wait until after 100, but you'd have a walking stick and stuff like that. Now, we're able to challenge that and say, well, actually, you could be 102 or 110 and still, you know, dance around the garden.
Yes. It's a lovely concept, and it's a lovely concept to bring this lovely conversation to an end. I wish you joy for the day, lots more laughter.
Thank you.
And let us know what happens when you cross that bridge.
Indeed, I will, yes.
And whether you had to pay.
Yes, absolutely.
Teresa Mullaney, thank you so much. And I look forward to airing this lovely live from YouTube. So subscribe to the Carolyn Williams Show on YouTube. And Teresa, I take it, do you have a YouTube channel too?
Yes, I actually do. And I haven't got very much on it at the moment, but I am in the process of putting that, sorting it out. And so this will go on my YouTube channel as well, if that's okay.
Excellent. I'm sure, you know, that listeners will have that opportunity to go on and enjoy it at leisure. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful Tuesday.
And you too. Have loads of fun.
Thank you.
You're welcome.